This episode is brought to you by Elevate OS, the only all-in-one community operating system. Elevate OS transforms property management, combining resident engagement, reservations, rent payments, maintenance, and concierge services into a single super app. It also uniquely integrates access control, intercoms, package lockers, and thermostats, eliminating app fatigue and redefining modern apartment living. Visit elevateos.com/MMN for a free demo and see how they can help you level up your operations. Welcome to another episode of the Multifamily Collective. Let's talk about red teaming. This is a concept that I think it was developed in the cyber world, in the digital world, in the internet world, the world of the internet. And it is a concept or a principle or a practice that pits somebody internal to your organization against your organization. In other words, how do we go about attacking your digital systems, our own digital systems? If we were a competitor or a bad actor outside of the organization, how would we penetrate the organization? How would we disrupt the organization? How would we make the organization go dark? It's a way of making sure that you are thinking about the vulnerabilities within your organization in a kind of a cyber digital world. And I think about that concept as it relates to business enterprises outside of the digital world. Now, we all operate on digital platforms, and certainly that would be a part of this red teaming exercise that I'm getting to. And that is, you think about how your competitors can outflank you from a marketing perspective, from a leadership perspective, from a training perspective, from a human resource and human deployment of human capital in your organization. You think about all the areas where your organization could be vulnerable by your competitor or by a bad actor trying to disrupt your organization in some way, shape, or form. And what this exercise does is it creates a hyper awareness, a hyper vigilance inside of your organization to make sure that you're shoring up and protecting those areas of vulnerability. Now, you may make a decision to make a trade-off in a certain area of your business. In other words, you're not going to be world-class. You're not going to be perfect. You're not striving for perfection in some of those areas. But those areas where you are going to double down on being world-class, you're going to double down on being the most awesome, you will shore those things up. You'll make sure that you don't have vulnerabilities in those areas. You'll make sure that your outside competitive base isn't going to attack you or be able to attack you in that way, so that your organization continues to march forward in a very sustainable way. You don't get disrupted by whatever might be coming your way. Now, I learned about red teaming in an organization called Vistage. In Vistage, you had 10, in my case, I was a vice president at the time. I had 10 vice presidents or 9 other vice presidents in a room, and our presidents were in a different Vistage group. So presidents in one group or CEOs, and then vice presidents or chief operating officers in the other group, all led by the same leader. So you could have this sort of dialogue or narrative that went back and forth between the two sort of operating partners in an organization. I learned about red teaming, and in that particular scenario, it was pretty interesting because you had 9 very different disciplines. The underlying fundamentals of a business are roughly the same, but you had 9 different perspectives. You had everything from pest control to bakeries to website and marketing developers and that kind of stuff in a room. And so when we did the red teaming exercise, these 9 individuals tried to put your business out of business, and they had the advantage of not knowing all the sort of commonalities about your business, which was very fascinating. And it came like a fire, like 9 fire hoses spraying at you all at the same time. And you're left there to sort of defend your position as it relates to your business, or to take in those things that might be vulnerabilities. It was a really cool exercise in understanding how to really get down to the essence of your business, the things that fundamentally made it work, and then understanding from an outside perspective how you might get disrupted. It was fascinating. But anyway, all that being said, my encouragement to you today is set up a red teaming group or committee inside of your organization and task them with putting you out of business, and or go and participate in a Vistage-like group and go through that exercise of red teaming so you can get it from a from a very different perspective. That's it. Take care. We'll talk to you again soon.